Right, today we're just going to have a wander around all the pastures we've grazed so far in the mob grazing rotation and see how the holistic management is affecting the regrowth on the grass. We're also going to have a look and see what we're leaving behind. You know, when I get the paddock sizes wrong, I'm leaving not as much to others. We'll have a look at that, look at some of the other issues, and I'm going to walk around as quickly as I can just to try and get through the last sort of 6 weeks worth of grazing, and you can make your own mind up and see what you think is going on. So first of all, we're just going to look at where we came into this paddock on the 5th of May. So we're now the 14th of June, so we're kind of less than 6 weeks really, about 5 weeks regrowth on here, and I'll just try and show you how deep we're going on here. You know, we're talking about, in the best places, we're talking about 12 to 16 inches there. You can see my boot at the bottom. That's some pretty good growth. The ryegrass is obviously starting to come into flower, it's seeding. We probably could have come straight back in here had we wanted to. That's just after 2 fields of grazing, which is pretty remarkable, but we've got plenty of grass everywhere else. This patch in particular is very variable, so we've got some bits that are really nice and lush. It's starting to fall over here because there's just plenty of growth. We help with some deer grazing, and then we've got some other areas that is not growing back as well, but it is starting to come now with the help of the grazing management that we're putting in place here. But a lot of this was pony graze, horse graze for a long time. You know, they were dunging in the latrine areas and grazing the others, moving nutrients from one part of the field to the other, and so we're losing out in that regard. This is the boundary just here by that gate, and as we move along we can see that was 4 days grazing they had in here, and then moving on they had 2 days in here, so this has had effectively 4 days less rest than the first bit. And the regrowth again, it's not too bad. I'd be happy putting stock in here again. It's just starting to head all the grasses. Give it another couple of weeks though and we'll be flying. I think I'm really pleased with how it's gone in this field. We're really seeing the improvements here. We've got, just looking around here, that's pretty similar regrowth. We went round the field in a clockwise direction and we went all the way around there, and we were 12 days in here in all. And as we come over here we'll start to see, here's another fence line we're walking where the electric fence was. You can see the regrowth here. If I put my boot down there, you can kind of see where we are with that. Okay, so but in the same patches you can see where the dung's fallen. You can see the patches of dung, the darker patches, and I think that's one of the great things about the system, is you can see the benefits of having the dung patches so close together. Doing this over the course of a number of years, those dung patches are going to fall in different places, not always in the same place, by bunching the animals together, and we're going to get that really good equal spread of nutrients, so you're not moving nutrients around the field so much. They're not going to lie up in their favourite place every night. And I'll try not to make you dizzy when I'm going around in circles, but I'm looking for an area of nettles. The nettles were grazed off almost completely all the way along here. That's another benefit. They love the nettles. And I don't know if that's a sign of the nutrient deficiencies. I mean, they were getting minerals, but they just went for them. Starting to come back a bit now. But I guess if every time they come back in here and they seem to take the nettles from some patches, some areas, and not from others. And that's, you know, I think that's quite interesting. Here's an example here. You can see where the nettles are short there, and then you've got a few that they left that are a bit higher up. And that, you know, if they keep taking the nettles from the same areas, whether they like the mineral balance in the soil in that particular patch, I just don't know. But as we wander around, we'll see some other areas they've taken off. But this over here, this had 12, this is getting on for 10 days 10 days less rest than the first part of the field, and you can see this is not as productive here. So this is somewhere where we really want to, this is an area that didn't get dunged when the horses were on here, but you can see that all the tiny little dark patches across the field now where it's really starting to grow. And I think just having the rest period, the grass is feeding the soil, it's just shooting down those sugars and proteins into the soil, and that should be really helping. There's some thistles over here. I think those are some that I cut, some spear thistles. And again, this is the last part of the field actually coming back pretty strong. So I'm pretty happy with that. Obviously I don't think we'd be turning them straight into here now, but if we had the choice. Now we'll just go and have a quick look over here at the weed issue in one part of the field. So got some docks and nettles over here. They grazed some of the docks, but they didn't take many of them. You can see a patch of nettles here. This low patch of nettles was completely grazed off by the stock, starting to regrow now. But if nothing else, that just lets the light back in underneath. Grasses can tiller and start to compete a bit more with the nettles. And I guess as they keep doing that over the years, over the rotations, hopefully it'll decrease a bit. This is a section that's always been really poor. This never got dunged, and you can see the regrowth. This has actually had the longest rest period in the field, along with that lush long grass that we saw at the top there. If we just come down here to my hand, you can see how little, you've got a couple of inches max really. It's not very good, and I don't know why, other than it's been raped by the horses and it's not working very well. So we'll try and race over to the next field. Okay, this is my field of shame here. This is my weed problem field, so I'm sure you'll enjoy seeing what problems I've got here. I'll just show you the connection here on the water tank. Pipe connection with a tap on the end, which I can then use a movable water trough with, and we'll have a look at that because I've moved the water trough to where the stock are. This is now had just less than a month's worth of rest, and you can see that we've got really low soil organic matter. I'll just have a quick look down here because I think we've got some hot trefoil in there. It's a nice little legume coming in, but you can see the regrowth is kind of 3 or 4 inches. It's really quite long in some areas, so that's the potential. If we can get the organic matter right, we've got grasses, ryegrass heading at sort of 10 or 12 inches for a month's regrowth. In other areas we just haven't got that. We've got low organic matter. It's had compaction in the past. It was an arable field, and it was an arable field non-stop without a break really for quite a long time, and this is what the result is of grazing on clay too hard. Nice crop of creeping thistles. One of the problems we've got is you've got to come in twice. That's just starting to come into flower. You can see here the buds coming into flower, so I need to get onto this fairly quickly. But then down here we've got some seedlings coming from somewhere, who knows where, just next door obviously, and they're too low really to be going on the topper, so I'm going to have to come in again later in the season. I don't really want to be driving on here with the compaction risk if I can help it, but I'm going on a keyline design course, and I'm hoping that's going to help me with some of this. My plan at the moment is to just give this a good dose of farmyard manure to get the organic matter content up, and then maybe do that for a couple of years before I put the keyline plough in, because I just don't think it's going to work in this clay to start with. Maybe I'll do it in conjunction, to leave it a year, then I'll do it once I've got some organic matter in, breaking down, and then I'll start doing it every year for 3 years, whatever the process is. So again, you can see lots of that. We grazed this off really pretty hard actually, probably too hard. It was taken down too low. We've just had a really nice shower of rain as well. Last few days it was looking a bit dry, and we're coming into a patch here that we didn't graze quite as hard, and you can really see the difference on the regrowth here. Much better, have to concentrate to try and make sure I'm looking at the screen and not just looking around myself, so I know what I'm filming. Some pheasants going down there, but skylark flying off. That's another benefit we've had, is the skylarks seem to love this system because they can just avoid you. This is where we fed a bale in the winter, just one bale when it got very cold, and I'm quite pleased there's not too many weeds coming up. There's going to be a lot of organic matter in this area, a lot of ryegrass coming in, so I'm fairly happy with that. And I just want to show you down the bottom where the water trough broke, so it's one of the problems you can have with this system. Okay, so that you can see that's where the water trough broke, and that's what the cattle did within about 24 hours. And it was obviously a time when I was away. I'd put them on this piece down to that tree and across around there. They were down there for 4 days because I was away for a bit. My dad was just keeping an eye on things, and he had to change the water trough because the cattle had got thirsty, turned it over and made a mess. And so we've got a bigger water trough for them now. It worked through the winter when it was colder, but not when it was warmer. I'm going to throw some hay on there just to cover it up, and get some grass seed in there as well. Get a nice mixture. It's cracking in the sun, so where the compaction is, I was thinking about leaving that so that the cracks can go as deep as possible. They will go down to sort of 10 inches on this clay when you get it, when it gets really warm. So if we have a little bit of that, then I'll put the hay on and cover it and mulch it. At least that should help with some of the compaction on that little site there. So this was grazed pretty hard again. Then we come over here, that wasn't grazed too bad. We've got lots of spear thistles, so the topping will be coming in shortly. And then you can really see the change as we move along. You'll suddenly see, again, this was grazed harder. Partly, they've had the similar area, but it's just sometimes where we're getting into parts of the field where there's less grazing, I'm not judging it perfectly, and I find it quite difficult when you've got really variable field, because you get used to giving them a certain area, and then as you go along, it's not the same, not grazed the same as it was the time before. But this is coming back okay. Some of it, we've got areas like this that have just gone a bit brown. That's gone far too close there. But then just next to it, you've got an area where there's a bit of trampling, a bit of dung, that's okay. So I think there's an element that mob grazing, to be honest, any sort of grazing, this field's not going to be great until it's got its problems solved in terms of the organic matter, and mob grazing is going to help that. So that, combined with putting a bit of farmyard manure on here, is going to help. See, here we're getting to where we've left a little bit more. There's a bit more trampling. I'm finding that some of the trampled grass is starting to pop up again, which is so you're not necessarily getting that trampled effect. And then here again you've got shorter areas with longer areas. So not as uniform as it perhaps could have been. Right, so as we come back up the hill, we're starting to see, the grass was longer here, so we're starting to get a better animal impact, because there was a little bit of trampling going on. You can also see the effect of the dunging, forcing them to sit in one place. If we'd put them in this field just to graze the whole field, every night they'd have gone back and lay in the same spot, taken all the nutrients and dropped it in the same spot and away from the others. But here, with the sheep and cattle together, we're really getting, the dunging is really close together, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that bears out. And again, that's going to help with the organic matter content as it goes on here. So I'm pretty confident. These thistles are looking magnificent. I wish I could grow grass like this. Right, here I go, just coming into the latest field that we've just started to graze through on the mob graze system. And you can see the beehives down there. They've been doing quite well. They've just started to, we just had some swarming just recently. As we look through here, I think I'm much happier with what I'm leaving in here, and that's because what we were going into was much longer. We're really seeing the benefits of that. A lot more trampling. You can see that on the floor, on the ground, covering the ground for the regrowth, and it's also leaving a bit of leaf on the plant so that it can regrow quicker and get going. What you can see in here is the fact that what was trampled down, you know, some of it, like this bit here, has obviously been dunged on, and that's going to stay down. Other sections are going to pop back up, and this has popped back up because it's a couple of days since they were on here, and then we've had some rain as well. So yeah, and then as we come through, this is where they've just been. I moved them off here about an hour ago. They'll be on here 2 days, on each patch 2 days. They've been on here 2 days. Again, they're going on to some quite nice thick grass, sheep and cattle, and we'll have a look at those now. Again, really good tight dunging pattern, which is what we want. So I'm really pleased with that. You know, that's really going to stand this pasture in good stead. But it's already doing pretty well, thanks to it really reacted to rotational grazing before we did the mob grazing, and it's just gone on from there. It likes this too, obviously. So the ewes had a bit of a hard winter, and they've been coming back quite well on this. We just had a bit of a mineral deficiency that took us by surprise that we've now addressed, and that had an impact, but the cattle are doing really well. This red cow on the left is a original population dairy shorthorn, one of only about 50 or 60 cows left in the UK, in the world I suppose. And then we've got some Hereford steers with fattening that came from Simon Cutters, along with these Hereford Cross British whites as well. The white cow heifer over there, that's another shorthorn. You've got the shorthorn bull, and then the Wiltshire horn ewes as well. They've just gone into here. What's worth looking at quickly in here is just to see how much trampling they've already done, but they'll travel round and have a look. I'll just walk down here and have a look at that. But also to see on the fence line, see how they've really grazed that out. You know, that's too short for me, for anyone I should imagine. So you tend to have a little bit of that, but I don't know if that means I've kept them in here too long, or if it's just the fact that it's close to the fence so it doesn't get trampled, so they don't leave it and they'll go back and graze it. It's just one of those things that I've got to live with. Just try not to put the fence in the same place twice, I suppose. Although if it's a little bit lower where the fence is, perhaps that might help me put it up. It won't short so much. Now I'm just going to hop over here. And you can see they always go straight in for the hedgerow. Have a quick browse. And you can see this has all been trampled down a fair amount. We had a little bit of orf in the lambs from the thistle field we were just looking at, and it's interesting, just a few days on here already, going on to clean pasture all the time, that's already started to recede, and there's not really any thistles in this pasture at all. And we'll just go and have a quick look at what we're going into. It's actually not quite as long down this end. There's a ewe up there that always gets out, that drives me nuts. But here we go, this is above knee level in terms of grass here. So you've got your grass height there, there's my knee. Lots of white clover in the bottom, really quite good. I'm getting attacked by a bee from the beehive. But that's what they're going into now. It's almost a hay crop really, and I'm pretty comfortable with that. Go away bee. And so there you go, that's what we've got already. We're going into nice stuff now. I think the fact that it's had longer to grow, we're really going to see the benefits of this, and I probably wouldn't have grazed it in the same order as I have this year, so that's something learned as well. Okay, until next time.